Alright, we are going to make peach cobbler. So, first thing you're going to do is get a small bowl and you're going to mix 3 tablespoons of sugar, way over here. So here's a tablespoon. And 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. 1 teaspoon. Oh, a little bit more went in there, and that's totally fine. And then you're going to mix it a little bit. And this is going to be for the top of the peach cobbler, so you're going to set that aside. It's separate. Okay? Now you're going to preheat your oven. I already did this to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. And you're going to put your peaches. I'm going to use 2 cans of store peaches. Let me drain those real quick, because I forgot. Okay. I forgot to drain them. And then we're going to see if this is a big enough bowl. There's still a little bit of juice in there, but that's fine. I have done this with fresh whole peaches from the store, where you peel them and cut them and get the pit out of them and do all that, and it does not give you that many peaches. And I think it tastes better with the store-bought canned peaches. One day I'm going to can my own peaches, but not today. So anyways, so I'm going to do 2 cans of peaches. You just do however many peaches you feel like you like. That's just usually what I do. And then I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar to that. Where did I had a spoon. Well, I'm going to use this. This is a 1/4 cup right here. I don't know. None of my measuring devices match. It is what it is. Okay, so you're going to add that right to the peaches. That 1/4 cup of brown sugar. Oh, there's my spoon. It's in the brown sugar. Silly. See, I did have a spoon already. Don't really pack it down too much, just a little bit. Add that in there. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon to this mixture. Where did my... I thought I had it out, but I did not. Okay, 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. And we're going to add an 1/8 teaspoon of nutmeg, which is I don't have an 1/8 teaspoon, so it's just a 1/2 of a 1/4. I use the ground nutmeg. Nutmeg is pretty strong, so yeah, you definitely want to make sure you don't put too much of that in there. But a little bit goes a long way. That's good right there. 1/8 teaspoon of it. Alright, and then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. And you can do your own lemon juice. I just have the store-bought stuff here. And so here is my teaspoon. You add all this right to your peaches. 1 and 2. Now I'm going to take my spoon and mix it gently. You don't want your peaches to get all mushy. But you want to incorporate all those lovely flavors. And I like to leave a little bit of the juice in there just to I don't know, it bakes in there real nice. Give it that extra juice flavor from the peaches. That's why I like the canned peaches more. So you can see that that is all in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a pie dish and put it in here. Kids are in the background being very loud, so ignore them. Okay, and then, oh, I forgot my cornstarch. You need 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. Where did my cornstarch go? Here it is. I'm going to wipe that out because it is, now that it has that on there, it is wet. So probably better to do that before your lemon juice. We need 2 teaspoons. So I'm going to sprinkle that in there. And I'm just going to mix it right in here. Normally you would mix that in a bowl, but I forgot it. I'm glad I always double check and reread my recipe before I move on to the next step. I have made this so many times, and every time it's like really, people think it's weird that I add cornstarch and lemon juice, but it's amazing. And there's never any left by the end of the night, let alone for the next day. So anyways, that's good enough. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put it in the oven for 10 minutes. And so I'm going to pause the video, bake it for 10 minutes, and we'll be back. Okay, so I have about 3 more minutes until that is finished up. So while I'm waiting, what I did was, in a bowl, I washed this bowl out and I'm reusing it. I did 1 cup of flour, a 1/4 cup of sugar, a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. I use unbleached flour, by the way. 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And now I'm blending in about 6 tablespoons of butter until it's mixed in. And I went ahead and softened it. You don't want to melt it, but you can soften it just so it's easy to mix in. And so I put chunks in rather than a whole 6 tablespoons because that's crazy to do a cold stick of butter. My recipe doesn't say whether you should have it melted or softened or anything like that, so I just always just soften it and mix it in. You don't want any big chunks of butter left in there if you can help it. Just kind of mix. This is what you can do while you're waiting on that to bake for that 10 minutes. I kind of cleaned up a little bit and started mixing this together. I should have filmed it, but I didn't think about it. So, I'm going to break up the chunks of butter now. As long as there's not like really huge chunks in there, but you are going to pour boiling water in here in just a second, so that'll kind of break it up as well. Okay. And then once that's all incorporated, you're going to take a 1/4 cup of boiling water. So just get your water really, really hot, whether that's putting it on the stove or just microwaving it. So I'm going to do that, and then by the time that is done, that should be coming out of the oven, and so I'll be right back. Okay, so I just dumped in my boiling hot water to this mixture here in the bowl. And this is going to make it into where you can form little like balls with it. And you're going to put that on top, kind of like a crumble. But this is more of like a pastry part of it. You can put it on as thick as you want to. I don't know, I just kind of spread it on there. See, it's kind of like a dough almost. And that just goes on top. it'll spread out too as it bakes. And it will cover basically the entire top if you spread it out good enough of your cobbler. I'm just going to spin the rest of it on there. And then kind of spread it out a little bit. It's very hot, so you don't want to touch it. It just came out of the oven. And you're going to keep your oven on because you're going to put this back in the oven and bake it. Trying to get some all over the place. And it'll kind of puff up as it bakes as well. Now this mixture that we did in the beginning, we're going to sprinkle that on top. Pretty heavy. You're going to use the whole thing. Make sure you get all the way around the edge. And then we're going to let this bake for 30 minutes and then it's done.